I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In the hills of Fayette County, where the coal dust touched the sky, there's a voice out in the valley with fire in his eyes. When the big shots hide in silence, when the truth gets pushed aside, and Jon Marietta plants his boots, stands there full of pride. He ain't polished, he ain't perfect, he may stumble now and then, but when that number boy starts rising, folks start listening again. The room gets still, the lighter sweat, the good folks gather round. When Hillbilly Jon starts talking, truth comes rolling down.
Hey everybody, this is Jon Marietta, and I'm back with you again for another radio show / podcast or podcast / radio show. I want to thank you all for tuning in. I want to thank all my sponsors. Please get out there and support these people. And if you want to be a sponsor, get a hold of me. It's go to many places to get a hold of me, and we'll make this happen. The quickest way is to message me on Messenger on MariettaBroadcasting.com, and we'll be able to do that, and we'll get to you. So let's get started. I'll tell you what, every hardworking soul in Fayette County and across the great state of Pennsylvania, listen up. Maybe I should say Fayette County, Bedford, and Somerset County because of the guest I have with me. But we'll say Pennsylvania also. The good book thunders in Matthew 23:4. The blind, they bind heavy burdens, grievous to be borne, and lay them on men's shoulders. That's exactly what's happening to you right now. We're getting taxed at the fuel pump with Pennsylvania's outrageous 58.7 cents. And I'm going to say it again, 58.7 cents per gallon fuel tax. One of the highest in the entire nation, stealing the breath right out of your truck. We're taxed at the store on not food, but everything else it's not on food or clothes rather, but everything else that your kids need and we have to supply ourselves with. We're taxed on our hard-earned income. Townships tax us. That's the smallest tax of the whole bunch. The state taxes us. That's on our income tax. Property taxes, which in Fayette County, it went up 28% in the last 2 years. It's tax till God's people are breaking under the load. This ain't stewardship. This is oppression. Just like the kings the Lord warned us about in 1 Samuel 8. I wish everybody would go and read this. 1 Samuel 8 says, who would take your sons, your daughters, your fields, and your harvests till the people cried out in anguish. Proverbs 29:2 declares it loud and clear. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, people mourn. And right now, Pennsylvania is mourning under a heavy yoke of greed. It's time. It's high time to rip this burden off the backs of our farmers, our factory workers, our widows, and our working families. We must switch the tax burden in the state of Pennsylvania once and for all. No more piling it on the little man while the powerful get fat. No more tax and spend sin in Harrisburg. I need to say that again. No more tax and spend sin in Harrisburg. And let me speak plain truth from the pulpit here, my pulpit. And I can do that. Got done right here in Fayette County. Pat Stefano up in the Capitol. You've done nothing but raise our taxes since they took office. Nothing. Pat Stefano himself has lifted not one finger to change this wicked system. They've failed you. They failed the people. And they will answer to our higher judge when time comes. I'm calling on every God-fearing man and woman, rise up in prayer and righteous action. Demand real tax reform. Demand relief. Demand justice for the laborer as the Bible commands. The Lord is against oppressors. this tax machine is oppressing his people. Now let's turn to our guest today, Harry Cochran, and hear what he has to say about all these taxes. And I tell you what, I'm so glad Harry was able to make it in. I know you're busy with the campaign and shaking hands and talking to all as many people as you can, Harry, right now.
Well, this is good too. This is good to be able to talk to the people over your program here. A lot of things that you don't have time to talk to about when you're out there. Hurry.
Harry, the property tax situation and we have to be able to do something about it. We really have to do something about it. I don't know that we roll it into cash income tax or maybe a sales tax.
Well, something has to be because Pennsylvania families being taxed too hard in every direction, and property taxes are more or less becoming a punishment for people who want to own homes or houses or property. And the senior citizens have to worry. They're afraid they're going to lose their homes because of high taxes. I remember when I was in Harrisburg as a legislator, there was a saying among the farmers, they don't sleep tonight because the legislature's in session all night, and they were afraid when they'd wake up in the morning they wouldn't farm. And they actually meant it. The farm lobby would come in and tell us that. And, the Harrisburg doesn't have a revenue problem. They have a spending problem. So does Fayette County. This is the problem. And, something has to be done. They have to get these costs in order. I mean, in 2024 and 2025, Stefano voted for that budget and increased the budget 7.5%. It was, and they spend the money like they have it. It's not their money to spend. It belongs to the people. They're the sovereign. I mean, they're taxing them to death.
The budget, when it was passed, if they spend it according to the way they have it set up, is about $7 billion in a deficit. So what I'm saying is, I think the budget was $54.5 billion, and they're only going to collect 48.9.
This is dangerous because we're supposed to have a balanced budget. State, the federal government they've done it since 1913. They put it in action. They go to the Federal Reserve and just borrow money. Now, because of that, up to a $39 trillion national debt, which is almost unphenomenal. You can't figure out how much money is that. The state can't do that. Something has to be done. They have to reel in the cost. They have to cut it down. I think we need leadership, and it all goes back to the taxpayers' wallet. That's the problem. People are hurting me. Price like you said, price of gasoline. It's Pennsylvania and California have the highest fuel tax.
Pennsylvania, our roads. I mean, I know we just come through winter, and I don't want to blame anybody, and we came through a hard winter here in southwestern Pennsylvania. But I'm telling.
And we have so many
terrible.
Bridges. I mean, you take just.
We got bridges that they just close them and they put barriers up and you got to go around.
But the city of Pittsburgh has over 500 bridges. Most of them are on state roads, and it has to be done. Pittsburgh's built on hills over rivers.
I don't know how Somerset and Bedford County is, but I can tell you right now, I can take you to probably 7 bridges in Fayette County that I know. Probably more than that are closed. They just close them.
Right.
In fact, I'll tell you what, they wanted to close our road, my road, because of they didn't have money and township supervisors. So the neighbors all got together and they said, no, we can't do this. So we asked the township if they would provide the materials. We provided the equipment and the labor. Good friend, I wasn't very much part of it, but a good friend of mine that lived on the road, they provided the materials and the labor and the equipment. We built the road, and the township provided the material.
Well, there's another issue. You take the township. They have a tough time too.
Without a doubt.
And then when they can tap, they have to tap the local people. That's not cheap, and it's hard for them to do that because they have to live among the people, and people don't like. They're being squeezed. People are hurting, and when they hurt, they don't react to the kind mannerly way. Scary. There's some other things that have to be done. I mean, everybody has to pull their belt in, but I say that it has to start with, John, I'm running for office. I don't want to set the grandstand. What they make, to me, the legislature is overpaid, what they do. When I was down there, I made $15,000 a year, and I think we had a $7,000 a year expense account. We made it. I know cost of living has gone up, et cetera, but someone has to start this. Set an example. I don't want to make this sound like a stand for election time, because it has to be done. It has to be leadership at the top, and you just keep.
Well, now you're looking at legislators that have to make in the 32nd district. Pastafano makes well over $130,000. He works. He has to go to Harrisburg 60 to 70 days out of the year.
Well, I think you and I saw where they spend $1 million a year.
It's just about $1 million a year what a senator costs.
Yeah, and I've been in Bedford and Somerset County and told them that people just shook their believe it.
It's between the staff, the renting office space, and between the what it costs them for all the people that work for them and
legislative services to the constituent.
Yep. Back when you were in office, you used to call the colleges to help you get to do the research.
We could do that, and we got good answers. They were state schools. They do it. I know when we brought 43 in, it's a totally different story than it is today. There was a study done. They were going to extend the turnpike from Newcastle down as far as the Vaughan River. Of course, I was raising the diggings down there because I wanted it done. So they did a study. What that would mean if we could take the new toll road, the new turnpike extension, all the way to the West Virginia border through Fayette County. It meant to Fayette County at that time, since 1981, it would mean 81,000 additional jobs. Now, you had to remember at that time the Cold War was on, the Soviet Union existed. There's a lot of expenses. The Mon Valley was booming. The steel industry, steel industry was booming down there. And right after we included that in, Wheeling, Pitt, and Menneson announced they're going to close the Mon Valley. And even with that gone, what have they done to get this money in here for poor counties, and Fayette County is included as a poor county? They could have done a lot to develop the southern part of this county with some of this Fayette Penn money, more than they have. But it's controlled, and it's a sin because we have the highway to the border down and not much industry down there. Bad, and I don't like what the
one of the things that there's a rumor about right now, Harry, and this I think this is going to affect one of our local. I want to say something about it, and if you want to comment, that's fine. If not,
Spring Hill.
What I'm going to tell you, what I want to talk about is talking about closing.
Yeah, they're talking about it, and it's not definite. University of Pittsburgh, UPMC, and some other people have said it's not a definite thing yet. It doesn't look good because of the lack of funding. My grandfather brought that hospital in. Depression. The only county in the bituminous coal region. When I was in my last term in there, they wanted to close it then. And Fred Lebder and came down. They wanted me to. Local legislator had to approve of that. And I knew Governor Leader very well, and he called me. He had nursing home. And I said, Governor, I can't do that. We have to have a hospital. And as soon as I got out of the legislature, as soon as they sold it, it's been thrown around and thrown around and thrown. See, when you had the state general hospital, you had to take care of anyone that walked in there. Depression still stayed that way. Now look what you cut the funding out for programs, and it's threatening to close. I certainly hope it doesn't, but I can tell you this: anything does close, I'm going to do everything I can to get it back in. State General Hospital once. We have to have a hospital. We have to be healthcare. There isn't too much. Everything's leaving.
Well,
stop. It can't be. You have, a few minutes can mean life or death.
Yep. We had a hospital in Collinsville, hospital down, and hospital in Brownsville.
Yes, we did. I remember the old one in Brownsville.
And actually, I was at Brownsville once because cutting meat a lot of times. You get nicked up and you have to go get sewed up. But and I think about all these things that should be. There's no reason why we shouldn't have a hospital in Brownsville. No reason why Barnesville should. But here's what the problem is, and you know it as well as I do. Population in Fayette County, probably Somerset, probably Bedford is the same, is in a decline.
Absolutely.
And our elected officials are doing nothing about it. Our state senator, I can't say I won't say about the state representatives but our state senator has done nothing to bring any big business this way.
State senator is the lead type of. That's a very important position. Monies have to be spent in Bedford, Somerset, and Fayette. They're dwindling in population. Something has to be done. I know the cost of everything's gone up. We've lost a lot of our manufacturing base. That wasn't so in Bedford and Somerset County. We did have a lot of manufacturing in Fayette County. We lost all that. I remember when it boomed. Named Connellsville, Uniontown. I was in Russia way back 20-some years ago, and they had a map right in front of the Bolshoi Theater. They were tearing down the trees and knocking down some walls down there around the Bolshoi, and it was cold. It was in the evening, and there was a map, a huge map. The thing had to be at least, I'll say it was 5 feet wide, and it had 4 feet high, and it had the lower 48 of the United States, glass enclosed. It was printed in 1947, 2 years after World War II. And it showed the lower 48, it showed the major cities in each state. Of course, Pennsylvania had Erie, Scranton, Philadelphia, Harrisburg, and Connellsville. Pittsburgh wasn't even on it. The way Fayette County fed Pittsburgh, coal and steel industry, we had 5 railroads going through. I mean, it was in my lifetime, I saw it go away. Evaporated. Anchor hockey, so many places also had trolleys. They've gone. It goes on and on and on. We have to sustain. We're losing population. It upsets me what's happened with Penn State. It's a disgrace. Some resistance wasn't put up with them. It's a state-funded university, land-grant college. And you have one of the best nursing schools in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania there.
It was. It is.
It is. I know
and I think that the plan is to try to keep the nursing school as long as they possibly can.
Well, my niece is a nurse. She went down Shetty side, and she had to take a few courses. She went to Penn State to get them because, and I told her, when I told her she hit the roof, she said, that's one of the best schools going. She's ashamed to lose. And, we just can't keep losing. Somebody has to stand. I know when I was in the legislature, and Frank Forney and Fred Soletti, they were the lobbyists for Penn State. They were in my office all the time, especially during budget times. They kept reminding me, we have a guy. I said, you don't have to tell me this. I knew what the Everlys did. I knew the Everlys. And the wonderful thing they put in there. But Penn State didn't feed that campus the way they should have. There should have been dormitories in that campus to make growth, and now they want out. They just closed it. Again, we're going to lose. That's our future, and to lose this, I heard a figure of $15 million like that revenue was going to be lost when Penn State pulls out of it. Terrible expenses to maintain that revenue.
Well, I've heard all kinds of ideas about turning it into things.
Yeah.
And I think that once you get to that point, I think we're looking at something. I think we're looking at it the wrong way. We needed to keep it here.
Absolutely.
Penn State needed to stay here.
Right.
Our senator needed to make sure Penn State understood that we needed to keep it here. Instead, he sit on his hands watching it go. But here's the one thing that I will say. I called this 2 years ago. They told me I was crazy.
What's that, John?
About them closing Penn State. I called this. We called it.
Right.
Gino Gallo and I, we talked about it on the radio, and we took a terrible hit about it. And everything that we've said has come to pass.
Well, you have several of these campuses they're closing, and you have several senatorial districts, several House members districts too, legislative districts.
Yes.
They have to pass a budget. I mean, I understand, but again, if the legislators will stand up for their home counties and fight for them, and you try to get the votes for a budget. I mean, and I'm not saying they should always pass budgets. These budgets, they exceed everything that they should exceed. It's wrong. They're taxing the people to death.
Well, we know that
you have to stand up for your local county. That's when you stand up. So, listen, you're going to look at Penn State again and just forget me. I don't want to hear a thing. We're going to take care of the home county first, and same if there's something in Somerset. Somerset has a lot of things up there operating in the state and Bedford, and that's how I would be.
Well, we know that our 2 state representatives from this area, Fayette County, they voted no on the budget.
Right, that was good.
But our senator, he went right along with Josh Shapiro.
Well, they take orders from the top. When you're beholden to the big money, big donations from the top, you have to listen. I don't do it. I never did do it. I want to be free to vote. And you can't do it. They want to buy your soul. They spend too much money in these elections. There should be a limit on the cost of what you can spend to run for these offices. On the other hand, it's almost like an auction where the richest guy wins.
Yeah, we're hearing all kinds of numbers coming for the Al Buckton and the Weiss race. We're hearing all kinds of numbers. We're hearing crazy numbers. We're hearing millions of dollars are being spent.
Well, in the district I'm in, I mean, what they're supporting him is a lot of money, and it actually all comes out of Harrisburg, most of it. But when you take that, you have to listen. That's why they don't stand up for anything like Penn State, because they're told what they can do and what they can't do and what they're supposed to say when they go out into the district to keep the people pacified. The people are restless. People are fed up and they're frightened. Something's got to be done.
I think about this, Harry, all the time, and I love to study the revolution. I do. I think right now we're in a revolution. I mean, it's a quiet revolution. I think we're in a revolution, and here's what I believe. I believe if Samuel Adams was alive today, we would be out of powder. We first off, most of the people that represented have been tarred and feathered a long time ago.
Well, the Federalist Papers, back to those, and it's a shame because they just what really bothered me too. What the Democratic Party did at that time. I think it was Bush running against the caucus, Bush Senior. It took God out of the national platform. Democratic Party gone downhill since. And I'm not saying Harry Cochran. I believe in God. You can't, when you take him out, what do you replace him with? These are the signs that we're in trouble as a nation. And a lot of people they're unaware of these things. But it's serious. And you have to have empathy for the people you're representing. And more than ever, these costs have to be cut. And it's hard to do. You got the Federal Reserve. But Pennsylvania's budget isn't based on the Federal Reserve. It's based on leadership out of Harrisburg. I understand Washington. So these wars have to be financed. They just keep spending money. But the state, the Commonwealth can't do that. We have to get it from the people. Someone. Unless you want to borrow from banks, that's high interest. It has to be curbed. Must be. Question about it.
Well, Harry, give us your website where anybody can get a hold of you in the last few days here before the election.
www.cochranforsenator.com.
And he has a Facebook page, Harry Cochran for State Senate, and check that out. Type in Harry Cochran. I'm sure it'll come. Harry Young Cochran. It'll come up.
I just hope that people will come out and vote. We need to change, not just because we need to change.
Well, Harry, thank you so much for coming in today. We'll keep on keeping on. We appreciate you, and God bless, and God bless the United States of America.